When you tap the 2x button on the POCO X6 and the X6 Pro, the camera zooms in digitally. So this button is really just for reframing, and that's because these devices don't actually carry a telephoto camera. On paper, the POCO X6 and the X6 Pro cameras are almost identical. Both come with a 64 megapixel main camera, an 8 megapixel ultra wide, and a 2 megapixel macro camera for extreme close-ups. They also both have a good 16 megapixel selfie camera, but it is still limited to 1080p video for some reason. And that's actually the case for all current Xiaomi smartphones, even the top of the range ones. One of those strange things about Xiaomi devices. What appears to be a fourth camera here is actually the LED flashlight, or flash for the camera. The X6 and the X6 Pro are identical in size, and they also have the same quality screens with the same resolution, 1220 pixels by 2712. And you're going to find that both exhibit a significant drop in quality when you switch to the ultra-wide camera. But if you're working in good light, then you might get some reasonable photos and videos using this ultra-wide camera. The main difference between the X6 and the X6 Pro is the processor. The X6 uses the Snapdragon 7S Gen 2, while the X6 Pro uses the Dimensity 8300 Ultra. So as you would expect, the Dimensity outperforms the Snapdragon chip by a significant margin, so you're going to get a better overall performance, especially when it comes to image processing tasks such as shooting high quality video, and as well of course gaming. Both the X6 and the X6 Pro can shoot 4K video at 30 frames per second, and they can also both shoot 60 frames per second video at 1080p. But I did find more noise in low light in the X6 main camera video compared to the X6 Pro. For some reason, in photo mode, the X6 has a 4x as well as a 2x zoom button, whereas the X6 Pro only has a 2x button. In photo mode, they can both zoom up to 10 times, but the POCO X6 Pro produces a far nicer image at that range, despite the fact that they both have a 64 megapixel sensor. In video mode, they can both zoom up to 6 times, and again, the Pro version does a little bit better in terms of quality at that range. In video mode, the X6 Pro has an HDR button, whereas the X6 does not. As well, the X Pro can shoot HDR10+, which is going to give you extra dynamic range video with 10-bit color. And as you guessed it, the X6 cannot do that. In photo mode, they both have an HDR button. So if you tap the magic wand, or 3 circles in the time-lapse mode, to open up a menu of filters, and you can add these to your photos and your videos. And both devices have this feature. So I thought I would try this out with the time-lapse, and this one actually really makes the clouds look more dramatic. To record time-lapses, you're going to need to tap more and then choose time-lapse. Tap the button below the camera selector to open up time-lapse settings, and then you can set your speed and the duration. So I usually long press on the screen to lock exposure when I'm shooting a time-lapse. Tap the settings button above to get manual control of the settings. If the frame is looking a little bit bright, you can use the EV wheel to bring down the exposure a little bit, or you can even set shutter speed and ISO manually. The X6 Pro now comes with the motion capture feature, which automatically identifies who you're trying to focus on, among other people and objects. So this is going to be useful when you're traveling or vlogging, and you want to make sure the particular subject is in focus. And it also works with pets. You can actually only choose one subject at a time, but you can force it to choose a particular subject by moving the camera around. Maggie didn't want to go outside, so I can only test this inside, but at least we can see it works even in low light conditions. But you do need to enable this feature in the settings first. Navigating around the Xiaomi camera UI is really intuitive. Swipe up and down to change the camera mode. Swipe left and right to open up settings. Tap the cog to go to more settings. Toggle on motion capture. And now swipe to open up settings again, and you're going to have to tap this button labeled motion tracking focus so that it turns yellow. Now when you aim at a person or a pet, you will get this grey square outline. There's actually another difference between the two models, and this time the non-Pro version has the advantage. The X6 has a 3.5mm headphone socket, so you've got a separate port for your headphones, or maybe even a microphone, and you've still got your charging port free at the same time. In video mode, the X6 Pro can shoot at 24 frames per second, but only if you switch to 4K resolution. And why wouldn't you? But the regular X6 does not have the 24 frames per second option. Now, if you have two Xiaomi devices, you can actually use one as a kind of remote to control the other camera. So this only works for photo mode. You might find it useful for things like, taking photos of yourself or with a group, and you want to make sure that you're in the frame. They actually have to be on the same Wi-Fi network, and then you just open settings and enable assist cam on both devices. And then they should find each other, and you can choose which one is going to be the controller. What you get is basically a shutter button and a monitor screen, but you can also set a timer.
Looks like it's coming out a little bit, sort of jello effect there. Some kind of warping on the stabilization in the kind of extra stabilization mode. I'm just going to try it with my iPhone 15 Pro and also my Samsung Note 20 Ultra, just to give you a little bit of something to compare it to.
So summing up, I'd say both devices can capture decent videos and photos, but if your phone's cameras are important to you, then you're going to enjoy the Pro version more than the standard version. The quality really is clearly visible, plus you've got the extra HDR and HDR10 Plus options.
But if you do want to learn more about smartphone filmmaking, you can always join us on Patreon. There's actually a free level now, so if you want to watch all my videos ad-free, you can sign up there. If you want to go deep into the detail and get really pro at this, then you can join my Video Creator Pro level on Patreon.